Hi. Think I'm live. I'm live. Can't tell. I hope this is working. I'm not sure. I don't see anybody, so I'm hoping. Hi, guys. Okay, it's on. Yay. All right, I wasn't sure if it was working or not. Hope everybody's doing good today. No, I didn't. I got in behind time. Sorry. I've just been trying to set up and, the Cricut was acting weird and you know how that goes. Oh my gosh. So today I am like, hi Beth. Super excited to be able to share with you all this amazing thing. So as an artist for years, I do everything. I try everything, and I'm all about sharing information. So some time ago, I saw somebody do what was called a stained glass tumbler. And I do stained glass. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. Yes. Hi. Adriana's Boutiques. Yeah. Oh, that's fine, Katie. This is like one of those things you kind of need to. So I'm going to go over everything with you guys. Perfect. So, okay. So the templates that you use to do stained glass it's basically exactly the same thing. But for those of you that don't do stained glass and you don't know what stained glass is, hi, everybody that's coming in. It's the same principle. So you have a couple of different ways to get, hi Paul, happy Saturday to you too. You have a couple of ways to, first of all, get your images, which is the biggest challenge for most people. And Kitty's decided he's going to be part of the whole thing. So what I did is I love skulls and I love ravens. So first of all, I'm going to show you my finished cup that I did. And this is that stained glass style. But for those of you that are intimidated by skulls, don't worry. We're not doing a skull today. And this is I would say, mid expertise level or difficulty level to do, because you have a lot of color, you have a lot of lines that need to be done. So you can pull off of Google, or if you're really, really good and you're great with graphic arts, you can make your own stuff. I know, Paul, I know you love skulls. You can make your own if you have the ability to do the line work. You can draw them on. If you're really good at freehand, you can do that too. But what I like to do is I do like to go and find basic designs that I like, which is what I grabbed today. So ignore the color for right now. I'm going to go over that with you. I sanded and prepped my tumbler, just like you do all the time. You don't skip that step. Sand it, paint it, prep it, because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. You're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of hours working on one of these. And the one thing you don't want is you start putting hot stuff in here and cold stuff in here, and that epoxy lets go, and your whole thing is good. Just gonna you're gonna end up with a stainless steel tumbler in one hand and your artwork in the other, which is really sad. And I would never want to see that happen, particularly, and don't waste your tumbler epoxy. So what I did was I took the image and I converted it into an SVG, which I'm still new at the Cricut. I haven't really learned a whole lot about it. So I got a lot of bad line work, to say the least. I printed it out in black vinyl because I wanted to be able to see the lines really clearly. I weeded the thing, and then I came back in and I just applied it. So when I notice that there are a lot of lines that don't connect here, and because I definitely want to, I don't want to go put glitter over that. I don't want to, this is a visual for you. When you're doing your cups, get yourself a Sharpie and fill in those lines. Like, just any way that you want that to go, you can make it go. So just connect your lines or however you want. So then you're just filling it in. So now you have your template of what it is that you're going to do. You know, it really, you can do anything. You do fairies, you can do butterflies, you can do dragonflies, beach scenes, skulls, whatever. There's like billions and billions of potential patterns out there. I've also taken graph paper, printed out something like a coloring book page with nice defined lines, and copied it over right onto my tumbler. It works perfect. You can even use tissue paper, copy it onto your tissue paper, and then just apply it right on. You just kind of Mod Podge it right on there because you're going to go over it all anyhow with your glitter. Next step, if you want to, this is totally optional. You don't have to do this, but for a visual cue, what you can do is you can just take some cheap acrylic paint, you know, like really seriously, this stuff was like so cheap. I got like a big, huge box. It has like all kinds of colors. I'm not going to use my good paint on here like my Arteza because I'm actually going to be covering this up with glitter. And so it's just a visual for you. Well, what colors do I want to put on here? It's also great to print out an extra copy on your computer, you know, just a regular piece of paper, and actually color it in so you can see how those colors are going to work. You know, some artists like to wing it. You know, you just go, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to put whatever color with whatever color. And it works out beautiful. Then there are other people that really need to have those visual cues. And that's great too. However works for you. It totally is. You can color it in or not. My plan here is, because of the way that this is, I'm thinking like it's got this cute little sailboat up here, and then it has these lines. Now, again, it's a coloring page, so you can do whatever you want to do. I think I'm going to do like a sunset kind of thing coming over this lighthouse. Here in New England, lighthouses are big. You know, we had a lot of whaling ships and stuff like that back billions of years ago. Yeah, exactly, Katie. You know, like, it's cool. And you can actually say, hey, I'm going to do these designs, sit down, weed some, and then play with your colors. Like, one of the things I want to show you some of the other projects I'm working on. This is a peacock. So this is a half peacock. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to go down at the bottom of the tumbler. Or maybe I'll put it at the top. I don't know. And then I actually have some real peacock feathers, and I'm going to apply them down at the bottom. So I think that'll be a really cool visual. These guys work gorgeous for this stained glass style. So you see how simple, like, it's simple, but it's going to give you lots and lots of time to color and play with it. You can do stuff like this. You want to kind of gauge it to whatever cup that you're going to do. You can get your designs anywhere, like Google, coloring books. You can actually pay for stained glass patterns, but there's tons of them free on all over Google. And again, you know, like I say, guys, you know, when you're taking images off of Google or you're buying images off of Etsy, be really careful about your copyright infringement. Things are getting tough now. You know, everybody knows, you know, there's incidents going on with cuppers, people who make the cuppers, you know, who are buying images off of Etsy and they're having their web shops shut down because it's actually copyright infringement. So check and be careful. Super excited about this one because, as you can see, this is a lot bigger than the cup. Like, I mean, it would actually fit probably if I scaled it down a little bit, but this is huge. You could put this on glass, actually, which is my plan for this. I'm actually going to take a sheet of glass, like a picture frame. I'm going to put it on here and I'm going to do the same thing. I want to actually try epoxying over some glass and doing some tabletop stuff. So I thought that this would be really fun. And I just found this on, this was a coloring page, actually. So you can see, you know, there's a lot of possibilities. There's like the sky is the limit when it comes to the designs. And like I said, if you're good, if you have the talent, which I do not have, to do the thing in like, what's it called? Paint or draw programs, things like that. You can make all kinds of gorgeous stuff and just have completely unique, which is what I really love to do. So your basic steps again, sand and prep your tumbler, find your image. You can cut it out with vinyl, which I like to do, but you can also just copy it over, get yourself, print it out on your computer. You can use graph paper, what is it, a transfer paper, to copy it over onto it and then trace your lines with the Sharpie. And there's actually a reason why you want to have a nice thick line. It's because you are simulating stained glass. And stained glass, if you've looked at stained glass pieces, there are actually there's lead that goes through the designs where these black lines would, so it helps to define the image. But it's actually done in stained glass because it would be impossible to cut a piece of glass like this. So you're piecing them together by adding these lead pieces in between. When I did this cup, this was my first that I did. I made a lot of mistakes, and some of the mistakes that I made is I found that my lines, my vinyl lines, were way too thin. So when I was putting my glitter on and putting my stuff on, I really didn't have the ability to have that definition of line in there. So what I ended up having to do is come back in and widen my lines. And that's easy to do too. You just grab your paintbrush. This is all done with Mod Podge, you know, devil's glue as they call it. And there's so many possibilities and it's so fun. It's so fun. Another thing that I want to just tell you guys about, because I like to share. When you're cutting out your design, or say like you're going to do a vinyl, and you get some really bad lines, so the same with up here, I found that like this whole piece came off great, but it's big. When I was laying it down onto my cup, I ended up with some serious wrinkles going on. So what I had this wad. I don't know why it did it. I mean, it laid perfectly flat every place else on here, but right here, I had a bubble. Well, if you've ever tried to pull vinyl off of something, it doesn't work. So take your X-Acto blade, come in, cut it. You're going to have a little gap. That's okay. Just grab your handy dandy Sharpie and fix your line. And you're good to go. Again, what that will do is that's going to tell me I need to stop right there because that's where my line is going to be. If you don't need to do that, then that's great. I personally like to do that. The next thing that you're going to need, so if you have questions as we go, guys, and try to keep up. Not a water slide. This is vinyl on here. I cut vinyl to do this. You can, and I like that look because originally what I thought was, hey, I'm going to cut vinyl and then I'm going to do glitter down here and I'm going to do my glitters up here. And then I don't have to put anything in the middle. That did not work out well because what ends up happening is the glitter is higher than the vinyl. And it looks kind of weird because it dips down. And when I did this guy, I found that my epoxy it dipped a little bit because there was a difference in the levels. So you want to try and have it be the same level. It just makes it easier. I don't know if you can see in the eye. I did not do the eye because I actually wanted it recessed. But if you can see here, the glitter is higher than it is here. And it makes a big difference. If you run your finger over it, you can really feel it. It kind of dips down like this in here. So when I put my epoxy on, I have to be careful that for my finish, I'm not going to have that weird bump. And it's almost like a fisheye. But as we know, we don't get fish eyes with tumbler epoxy because tumbler epoxy is awesome. It's true. I have not had a fish eye since I started using this stuff in August. I was right at the very beginning. Not a fish eye. Okay, so get your image on there and then color it in if you want to or not, and then you're good to go. Next thing you need, lots of glitter. Like, I love glitter. I bet you could do this with mica. I bet you could do this with, you could, because it's just like paint. You can do any of that. If you're really good, again, example, this purple part that's here is not glitter. It's actually paint. Because I did not have a glitter this color and I really wanted kind of a textured background. So what I did was I just painted here. Again, it recessed just a little tiny bit. So again, I'm going to have to be careful when I put my epoxy on here just to make sure that it's all nice and smooth. But because the tumbler epoxy self levels, I'm not anticipating any problems. Okay. Sorry, I had to scroll back here and see people. I got a lot of chatter, so I'm trying to catch any questions. And if I miss your question, I'm really sorry. Just ask me again. Get lots of these little cups. These are a blessing. They're completely reusable. You can throw them away if you want to. If you're mixing epoxy in here, I actually can recycle mine 5-6 times by letting it dry, pulling it out, and washing them. That works great. But these are great for glitter because you can squeeze this, make yourself a little funnel, and squeeze out your glitter on here. Because some of this you're going to be doing, you don't want your glitter going over into these other areas because some of it might, if you're going to do it real slow, that's great. And I'm not that patient, so I like to move. I move around a lot, and really that's it. This is your friend, Mod Podge, just basic. This is the gloss. Some people use the matte. I don't honestly see a difference between the two for this type of application. So what we do is little tiny bit, and then I will thin out this just a bit, like, and I do mean just a little tiny bit, because I just want it to flow a little bit easier. But I don't want to mix too much of this, because then I won't dump it back in here. Sorry, my allergies are acted up today. You need a ton of brushes. You need like super small brushes, and then you need some wider brushes. So I recommend to people, don't use your good paintbrushes. Please don't use your good paintbrushes when you're doing Mod Podge work. Also, these things are amazing. These are just dotting tools, and they're absolutely phenomenal for getting up into the corners. So when you're putting, you're coming up here and you want to get that glue up into all your corners, these are great. These are great. They're super cheap. I spent 9 hours painting the piece that I posted yesterday, which is a Wheel of the Year, with a toothpick. Like that, so that's where there's a will, there's a way, guys. You'll figure it out. Lots of paintbrushes, though. Some skinny, some wider, and we're going to get going. I like some that have a chisel tip, too, just because it helps me to get stuff in. And when you're doing your stained glass piece, or working with this glue, which many of you know and some of you don't know, don't let this sit around. Like when you're done with your brush, wash it, or have a little cup of water. Don't drink this, though. I've made that mistake. Have a little cup of water and put your brush into it. You don't want this glue to dry onto your brush, because then it's done. I mean, I've worked pretty hard. You can put boiling water. You can actually get some good results with boiling water. Soak the brush in it, swish it around. It'll soften it up, and then you got to peel it all off. So not a good time. But this is pretty runny. I don't know if you can kind of, it's a lot runnier than the regular Mod Podge. So I want to say it's like 1 part Mod Podge and 1/2 part of water, which will give me the texture that I want, because I also don't want this running. Just like one of those paint by number pictures, all you want to do is you want to pick a color and go with it. Remember, you don't want to cover up your lines, your black lines, because that's where your definition of color is going to be. It's just a lighthouse picture, Mary, that I grabbed off of Google. I thought it's a coloring book page, actually, which I thought was like really cool, and I wanted something beachy for here. I don't know. I normally don't do a lot with beach scenes, but I thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to do that today. Okay, so I'm just going to do this one little area here, show you. Then you take your glitter. I hope you can see. I'm trying to just do a little bit. Like, don't go crazy with your glitter and tap it down. You can always go back in, and it's way easier to go back than to get too much on there. Now, you want a clean, dry brush, and you do want to keep it as a clean, dry brush. Usually I have like 2 containers that I keep working brushes, and then what I've classified as dry brushes. And then you're going to come in and you're just going to brush back any of that glitter that's kind of gone where it's not supposed to. And it's going to do that. I found sometimes you have to double coat and sometimes you don't. I know I'm totally like a glitter fan. I can't even tell you how much glitter that I have. And I just went on to, It's Pretty Personal, and I just got like so much glitter. I got the cheater glitter, which I thought was like amazing. So I want to try one of these doing like cheat glitter. Fill in the black lines. So do the whole thing in cheat glitter. Glitter. Fill in the black lines and then come back in with alcohol inks and do the definition of color. I think that'd be like super, super cool. Now, okay, I want to show you guys something else. Like I said, there are right ways and wrong ways with this particular style cup. Usually I just tell people, hey, go for it. Have a good time. So this little guy here, when I put that line in, I did get a little glue onto where my vinyl line is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to move this off of that, so I can see my black line. Now, it's not a big sin because I'm actually going to be putting glitter, black glitter in there anyhow. So not a huge problem. Sorry, guys. Another tip when you're doing this is try and get as much of the one color that you're working on. Like some people like to work from the top to the bottom. Other people like to work from middle out. But you do want to kind of try and get like all the same color at the same time, because it just helps with the cross contamination, and then you're not going to have like blue glitter in your, red or whatever colors. It's kind of a pain. I usually don't use pieces of paper to catch my glitter, but for these I do, because then I can have one for blue, one for green, one, I basically have a piece of paper for every color that I have. And then I just wipe it off and reuse it. Okay. Definitely tap it down. Just helps it stick a little bit better. And it's just a rinse and repeat situation. You're just going to keep going around the cup, putting your colors on. And, I don't expect everybody to hang in here for the whole time while I'm doing this, because that'd probably take a few hours. Normally, I do not. No, actually, this is one of my, for this cup, Katie, the bottom part is lighter than the top part. Normally, I do my darks first, just because I find that they bleed. I don't know. I really like doing my darker colors first, because then they're in, I know, and I let them dry, or I'll hit them with the embossing gun to make sure that they're like super, super dry before I start adding. And then if there's any white, like actually when I do the lighthouse, I'm going to add a couple more lines and make them a stripe, a red and white stripe, I think. I'll do the white and the same with the cloud area up here. I will do that completely last, because it seems to me that white for some reason picks every single little thing up. It even, like your color will be off. I did something yesterday. What did I do yesterday? Oh, I did an elf cup, which I'll be doing here. in another week or two. Starting the Christmassy stuff. And darned if that thing didn't get all the other colors in it. And because I put it down first, and I thought that the stuff was dry, but it wasn't completely dry, and it ended up picking up other colors. So now I have to go back over all the white, which is kind of a bummer. So do you see how this is working? Now, if you did a color image on your tumbler, say for example, you wanted to just enhance this, you totally could. And you could just put your image on and then just sort of glitter in some spots. Would look super, super good. That's not the color. Whoa. I'm trying to decide, like, I grabbed like every single glitter that I have, because I was trying to do like a whole beachy water scene. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough color. Does anybody else like take their paintbrush and wipe it off on their apron? I use usually acrylic paint. I will use to color. So somebody's asking me what do I use to color it beforehand. Generally, I'll use acrylic paint. I will also use, and I'll show you here in just a second, I got these great pens, and they're paint pens. They're from a Japanese company. They're called Posca. And they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Like they cover the tumblers beautifully. They stick down onto the base coat, which is super awesome. So if you really wanted to do like a gloss background, like do gloss or something, it would cover it. Super awesome. So where are they? Hold on a second now. I just want to do this before it, you know how Mod Podge is, guys, the stuff like dries mega fast. Yes, I'm using cheap glitter too, because for this, it actually works. It actually works. So these are the paint pens that I was talking about. These things are fantastic. They're just like super easy to use. They flow really smooth. The other really cool thing about them is they spread with a brush. So on a tumbler, you can put it on, just kind of scribble it on, and then take a brush and go over it. And it will cover it, and it will look fantastic. It just gives it complete coverage, and I love that. Tapping off is like really important when you're doing this. Again, particularly if you're doing multiple colors and you're not letting them completely dry in between, what ends up happening is you're going to get like a cross-contamination of stuff. So I've never used it. I've never used Tack-It, and I've heard so much about it, and I don't know. I don't know why I haven't, but I definitely want to try it, because I'm branching out more and more with what I'm doing, and I'm really trying to, I don't know, expand my repertoire, as they say. And the Mod Podge is just, I don't know, I'm not crazy about it. I mean, it works. It works great. But it's difficult, and it's messy. It wrecks brushes. I've thrown away more brushes than I even want to admit to. It's very disturbing because I just cannot ever seem to get it out of the brush. Particularly if I let it sit a while. I found if I water it down, I don't get the brush strokes. If I put it straight on the tumbler right out of the canister, I get horrible brush strokes. You could seal it. I don't. Normally, I'll tend to do a bunch because I have a back problem and I need to get up and move around. So I'll do that and then I will just let it sit for a bit. I usually have my embossing gun handy. I'll come in, I'll hit that. And this is so thinned out and I'm not using a lot of Mod Podge on here that what it'll do is it dries like super fast. So I don't worry about it. But you totally could if you wanted to. And I want to encourage you to, try and see, like, try it. Try what works for you and see, because you definitely don't want to get a bleeding of color. I don't find that this runs, in between colors, but before you guys, when you're all done with this and you fill in, like the back, however you want to do that. You can do it with glitter. You can do mica, just whatever you want to do. Make sure you seal your glitter. Like, seal it like 4 or 5 times. Because you just spent so much time doing this. And this is not like fast and easy. This is, there are some cool styles out there. Super fast, super easy to do, and it's great. But then there's others that take time and effort. This is probably not one of those cups that you would make a ton of. And because of the time, and if you were going to sell these, I don't know, how much is your time worth? Because I've spent on the Raven cup that I did with the skull, I spent probably 25 or 30 hours doing that cup. So if I even just charge $10 an hour, that's $300 cup. I don't think anybody's going to buy that. So this is a labor of love. And this is something that you would probably do for yourself or maybe a special client or something like that. Fundraiser, but still, these are so gorgeous. They're such a work of art. The back of your brush also works to just kind of come in and keep defining your line. I do. I love my art. I do it. I don't sell a lot because, frankly, I don't like dealing with people very often. I ran my own Celtic Renaissance wedding company for a long time. I made beautiful wedding dresses. And I had all the bridezillas, and I sort of... I got tired of dealing with it. So, and I've seen the struggles that people have with customers and, them being nasty about their cups and things like that. And I just kind of, no, I do this because I love it. My other art I will sell. My resin pieces I do sell. But I haven't actually got into doing, I don't know. I need like a manager or something to let me craft and then do, they can do the web work. So you can see it can move along pretty quick, depending upon how difficult your design is. And then as it dries, you can get a better idea. Some glitters work better than others. Fine glitter works really good. Mid-range glitter or a combination of fine and mids work really, really good. Chunky glitter is not fun, because you know how chunky is. It doesn't like to stick down as it is. It really doesn't like it. So I have avoided, I've done it. I did do chunky, and it did not make me happy at all. I actually tried it on this other one over here in the blue area. You can you see the chunky? And I'm going to tell you, that I spent, I don't know, forever. I took it, I tapped it all down, I Mod Podged it again, put it over the top of it, and I waited until it was just kind of tacky, and I took the one of those, one of these, and then a dotting tool, and I was literally pressing down every piece of the chunky, because it just didn't want to stay down. So the hardest part on these is deciding, well, what color do I want? What do I want to do? Where do I want to put my color? So I have one more little piece of blue to do. And I hope that you guys the images can come from Google, can come from coloring books, whatever. If you're crafty, if you like to do artwork, draw it on. What makes it a stained glass style? Yeah, I totally agree. What makes it a stained glass style is the dark line definition. Now, you can do it in black, you could do it in silver, you could do it in gold. Think about stained glass things that you've seen in the past. In between the glass, there's always a definition line. It could be silver, it could be gold, it could be black. If it was a dark, you could use white. So that's what makes it stained glass style. Occasionally, as you come along, I've reached a point where I have enough on here that I don't need to brush it every single time. But you do want to come back in, try and get off, particularly when you're going into like the next section. If you don't want to drag like the blues or whatever color that you have down, you don't want to drag that into your next section. Go ahead and make sure that you really brush it off. Good. Sometimes I have a can of air that I'll use once I know that this stuff is dried. All right. Again, keep your brush wet that you're glittering with, and using your Mod Podge with. Make sure you keep that brush wet so that stuff does not have the opportunity to dry up. And then as soon as you're done, if you need to stop, let's say you need to stop, you need to, make a cup of coffee or whatever. Make sure that you have that water there. The warm water is better than cold water. So if it starts to get cold and you get up to make a cup of coffee, just add some extra hot water into your cup, because you don't want this thing it's going to ruin your brush. So that's why I said I have a set of brushes that I only do Mod Podge with. And then I have a set that I only do painting with. Okay, so for my rocks, what I'm going to try and show you here is just because I colored in the whole rock in this tannish color, I don't want to do that all tan, because that sort of doesn't look like rocks to me. Rocks are sort of multi-colored particularly in sunset, when the sun is hitting. So what I'm going to do is I got like all these cool colors. I don't have any light brown. I have a dark brown, which I use on the bottom. And I hope you can see here. I got one of those grip things for the phone. The problem is that it keeps shutting the phone off. It's like it shifts or it moves. I don't know if it's too big for it, and it'll just shut the phone off on me. I hope this works, because this is kind of like sandy color. I want to do a beach. I think a beach should be beautiful. It may be some, mermaids or something. That'd be really fun. But I could totally see Beth doing this, doing like one of those beautiful beach scenes. And I want to figure out how to multimedia it. I think it'd be really cool to do like mica and glitter in somehow, some way. I think that'd be just amazing. This always makes my head kind of blow up with all the possibilities of what it is that you can actually do. How are you feeling, Katie? Are you feeling better? I hope you are. I got like all this crazy glitter. I had to grab, because I didn't have any brown. But this is old. Oh my gosh. I got this great big huge thing of glitter for like $3 on clearance at like Michael's or something a while ago. And I said, hey, I might need that. And I grabbed it and I threw it in my bin. And then I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to be working on that cup. Maybe let me see what I can find for color. And that came up and I was like, oh, hey, that's perfect. That's just really perfect. This brush is a little wide for what I'm trying to do here. I hope you guys will get the idea for the rocks. So remember, when you want your color perception when you're doing stuff, you do want it, even though it is stained glass, unless you're going like complete abstract, you do want to try and get within those basic colors that one would see when you go to the beach or when you're going to a lighthouse. That's awesome. That's good. Yeah, I definitely off those narcotics as quick as possible. I know I've been on them for years from my back. Really, I wish they'd come up with something different. I said the other day when I was doing a live in another group, I was like, can you imagine, like, they have all these people that come up with all these really awesome gadgets, you know, for crafters and stuff. Well, they came up with a spinner, for the tumblers. They came up with the Wanvi for the drying thing, which is like, I totally want one of those. That's like awesome. Would it not be cool if they would come up with a thing where like you could have your cup mounted so you can work on it, and then you just press a button and it would tap it off for you? Would that not be cool? Because like, how sore do your hands get by having to bang on the bottom of the cup? Welcome to the group, Mary. You're gonna, like, seriously, this group is awesome. And I'm not, no kidding. I'm serious. Beth and Paul are fantastic. Katie's fantastic. I've been here since the beginning, and it's a loving, caring, nurturing group. that people want to help each other. So you're not going to get the hate crap here that are in all the other groups. People will ask questions and they're going to get answers to their questions. Be patient. And if for some reason, like, yes, your posts need to be approved, but sometimes the admins just, like they approve the posts, but they're busy and they can't get back to you. If you don't get an answer within like, I want to say like 24 hours, repost it or tag somebody, one of the admins in it. Like you can just click on the right hand thing where the buttons are, or the little dots are. It says, I think it's report to administration or something. And just put a note in there that you need to have your question answered. Somebody will get back to you. I'm in the group. I'm not admin, but I do try to answer questions for people. So definitely, like, welcome to the group, guys. This is amazing. Okay, so here's my rocks. Can you see what I did? I put the dark in and I put the light in. Don't worry about it, April. It's all cool. And I will save the video so that y'all can, like, come back, pardon me, and watch it. Definitely. Like, it's definitely one of those things where you do want to come back in. You're probably going to watch it a couple of times. Play it while you're doing it if you want. Yeah, I saw your little thing when you bumped my post, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about doing that. Because a lot of, like I said, like in other groups, they don't like that. They get like all weird and mean about people asking questions, and I don't know why. It's like, isn't that why these groups are here? Isn't that like why they're supposed to be like helpful, and there's a reason that these groups are here? Sorry. My gosh. I've had my windows closed now for like, I don't know, weeks. I got the air filter going. The allergies are really starting to get nasty. Stinks. Once you start putting on glitter and you're layering up. So, okay, so I've got my blue down here on my teal, and then I've got my browns. Even though this has been like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so since I put that on, or maybe a little less. When you dry brush off up here, don't brush hard because you could flick it right off. So I just am very gently, very, very gently, just kind of grazing it. Some people like to use a fan brush or a blusher brush. Actually, these can be really good. It's a big, fat, fluffy brush. And usually I'll use that at the very end to really come in and get... But this knocks off like all the excess. Fine glitter is the best for this process. Actually, it's kind of funny story. So back a while ago, I got, when I don't know, and I do mean it was a while ago, I got a bunch of glitter. And it came in these bags like this. It's all fine glitter, and it's crappy glitter. It's like really crappy glitter. For what I was doing, I hated it. I was just like, I absolutely hated it. I'm like, I wasted my money. Well, you know what's funny is it works perfect for these because it's so fine. It's like ultra fine glitter, which works super good. I would say you definitely do not want anything more than a mid, like a medium glitter, unless you plan on spending a lot of time poking it down. Right. So it's fun. Let me scroll back here. See. You pronounce my name, it's Kiri. It's short for Kirianya. But with winter coming, projects like this, these more difficult, take longer projects, super good. Okay, so another really cool thing is, like over here, it didn't really fill in. Now that that's dry, I can just overbrush the whole thing and lightly, and then I'm just going to come back in and drop more glitter on top of it. It'll also texture it. Remember to tap down. Now, once that sets up just a little tiny bit, just come back in and just refine your little black line, just so that you know that it's there for the future. Because after you're done with coloring all of that, then you're going to go back in, you're going to do your black line work, and that's done normally with a pen, you know, like I like to do one of these bottles with the Mod Podge in it and water. And what it does is I just come in and kind of come along and put like a bead. These are little, like these ones are just a little too big. I had some other ones, they were super awesome. And they were really like ultra fine line, and I love that. Or you could actually come in and do it with a paintbrush. That way you can decide how thick a line of definition that you want to have. It works super good. I hope that makes sense. All right, so again, now remember rocks. Like, rocks aren't all the same color. I mean, they're not all, yeah, they're not the same color. They have, like, when the light hits them, some spots are a little darker, some spots are a little bit lighter. So for that, what I would do is when you put your podge on, or your tack it, which actually I've got to get some of that. I really want to try it and see the difference with it, Katie. I think that'd be like amazing. So when you're putting this on, I put the dark color on. Definitely do your darks first, and then you can fill in the light part. I'm using Mod Podge, Isabel. Some people prefer Tack It, like Katie loves Tack It. I don't have Tack It. I never had it. Make sure you buy, though I have heard that when you're doing Tack It, you want to make sure that it is actually called Tack It. There's like people, there's another company, I think it's at Michael's, it's like Aleene's or something, and it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing. Katie, maybe you can clarify that. One is Tack It, and then there's another, like something like Tacky something, I think it's called, and it totally confuses people, and they end up buying the wrong stuff, and then their thing doesn't work. It doesn't work well at all. Yeah, Isabel, here. Also in the video, I've shown this a couple times. This is the finished one. It does not have its epoxy on it yet, because I want to make sure that this is like 110% dry underneath before. I've already sealed it once. Sealed it twice. But I want to make sure that it's absolutely dry before. So I'm probably going to seal this another 2 times. And I also found that the first sealer that I used really made like my dark, this gray, which actually has like gray and green and purple in it. It's really pretty. It kind of made it mucky. So I ended up switching over to a different sealer, which is this. And I love this stuff. I love this stuff. I buy it by the case. Some people use triple thick, or so, I think it's called triple, 3 times or so. I honestly, I don't know because I don't use it. But again, great group. Everybody's willing to share. Super awesome. I'm going to heat this up and let me heat this up so I can show you the rocks. Hope you're not bored yet. Like I said, you know, I am like the queen of long lives. But I never do simple stuff. It's always these complicated things. Yeah, the Mod Podge, it's 1 part Mod Podge, a 1/2 part water. So think of it, if you're going to use, or even less, like a tablespoon of Mod Podge and 1 teaspoon of water, same ratio. That's why I like medicine cups, because you can measure it. And it's the same with, actually, I want to address another thing while I'm here, where people were talking about their cups and stuff like that. When you are epoxying your cup, and it's the same with this. And this would be such a shame. So make sure you do it right. 1-to-1 ratio, part A, part B. Measure 1-to-1 in a graduated measuring device. Like this actually has teaspoons, it has milliliters, and it has like ounce information on it. Equal parts. This is like one of the #1 issues that I see happening over and over and over again, where people are saying, well, my stuff it's still tacky. It's not right. It's not dry, you know, it's not dry. It's been 24 hours or 48 hours. And it's because your stuff wasn't measured properly, or you didn't stir it long enough, or you scraped the sides. So when you're measuring out your stuff, make sure it's 1-to-1. When you are doing your mixing, set a timer. Find a song on YouTube that's like 3.5 minutes and stir it the entire time. If you want to scrape your sides, you want to make sure that you either pour it into other containers and you're adding in your additives like your glitter, your mica, stuff like that. If it's just the epoxy in a cup that you mix, you don't want to scrape those sides. And the reason is because residue can cling and it can slow down your cure. So helpful tips. I hope that helps, because honestly, it's a very common mistake that gets made, particularly with new epoxy artists, is this: they don't realize that the how important that mixing it for the actual amount of time and not scraping the sides really matters. Like I said, if you want to scrape out every drop, that's okay. Just pour it into another cup and do it that way. That will help you a lot with those little issues. All right, so we're going to get this other rock done. And again, like I said, you can spend as much time or as little time. If you want to do them fast, then you can do them fast. If you want to spend like hours painting, You can spend hours painting. Whatever makes your heart happy is okay. I've even done like whole cups where I'll just do something super simple as far as color goes, and they still look great. So don't worry. Now notice I'm putting this all over because my brown is dried. My darker part has dried. Absolutely. Thanks, Lisa. I was going to say that too. If you are making a bigger batch, or if you are even if you're putting it on something, and you don't pour it all in and you set it down for a minute or two, give it another stir. Just, I mean, it's 2 seconds of your time to just come around and stir, because sometimes the parts, because they're different viscosities, they will settle. They'll start to settle. And, you know, normally if you're doing cups, well, you're pouring it right on there and it's not a problem. But sometimes you have to, you know, stop and you're like, oh, well, I don't have enough. I don't have enough on, so I got to come back in and I want to put enough on. Or you're going to put it down to get really good coverage in another area. That's fine. Just give it one more quick stir or two turns. It's going to make a huge amount of difference, guys. Really, truly is. And these are all mistakes that we all have made. Like, no one's judging anybody when we tell you these things. Please don't think anybody's being mean, because we're not. It's just, we've all done it, and we're trying to save you that aggravation. I hope you can see these. I don't know. It looks a little blurry on my screen. Maybe if I... Okay, Katie, cool. I'm just going to keep on going. Katie's the best. She's awesome. So are Beth and Paul, though. They're awesome, too. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this amazing product to work with. So, if you guys have questions, like I said, if I missed your question, like, it's really hard for me to scroll back. So if I missed your question... please just say something again, say something again. This is called a stained glass. Let me see. What am I doing? I'm going to try and go back a little bit. Oh, yeah, that'd be cute, Mary. Absolutely. Lilo and Stitch. Love it. Personal use only, though. Be careful. Like, be super careful. I'm going to harp on y'all about copyright stuff, because Disney is one of the worst places that'll nab you for copyright, particularly if you are selling online. I have had friends that have had their pages shut down because they were selling like cute little Disney cups and Harry Potter stuff. They'll shut you right down if they catch you. So, and just because you buy an image off of Etsy doesn't mean that it's actually a licensed, which is another thing. A lot of people make a mistake. Just because you're buying an image from somebody else, well, you don't know where they got that image from. And unless they actually say licensed seller for that company, and you're only using the item for personal use unless you buy a commercial license, you can still get into trouble for it. So guys, please be careful with that. And I know it sounds like it's naggy, and in a way it is, but I don't want to see you all lose, your cool businesses. Yep, exactly, Lisa. White Claw, holy smokes. Like, they are absolutely running rampant. They have shut down more people's pages. It's insane. And then I hear there's so much bad information where people say, oh, well, if you take the image and you change it, it's okay. It's not okay, because they actually are one of the few companies, they have trademarked their label from top to bottom and sideways. Like, there's no variation of that design that is legal to be used. So if it's the font that they're using, if it's the style, you know, the layout, anything to do with any of that, it's not. I try to stay really informed about copyright law and also other weird things that people just don't seem to be interested in, because I like to, I'm actually trying to help people, and I don't want to see you lose your hard work. And also, by posting your really awesome art in groups, you can actually get that group shut down because of it. So say, for example, you were posting White Claw stuff in this group. If they saw it, they could potentially shut down, you know, Beth and Paul. So we don't want that to happen, you know, so let's just be careful. Do you guys see what I'm doing here? So it's kind of a slow process. It can be a lot faster sometimes. Right. Exactly, Lisa. I mean, it's different if you have, like, if you're not going to post it, you have a client that comes to you and says, hey, can you make me blah, blah, blah. That's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to proceed and do that. All right. So anyhow, I think you guys get the idea. Okay, Lisa, there's a couple of different ways that you can do images. One, you can go on to Google or whatever. You can design them yourself, you know, in like a drawing program. You can use a coloring book page. You can graphite stencil it on here, you know, like where you would actually take the page, print it, and then use like a tracing paper underneath of it and put it on. Then you have to go over all your lines with a Sharpie, just so that you have a good definition of your line. You can use cut vinyl, which is actually what I did. And I showed a whole bunch of examples of it. I'll show you a couple more one more time, because I know I had a lot of people come in partway through. So you can find stuff like this. This is all vinyl that I did SVG and cut it. So when you're doing stuff like this, you know, like I said, this was a coloring book page. You can just take a picture of it and then convert it over. No, you don't want to put a water slide on here, because you're actually putting paint on top of it and glitter on top of it. I don't know. I mean, maybe printable vinyl would probably work, but why waste that? I mean, honestly, the image isn't that hard. Like the weeding, if you were going to weed it out, I don't know. I tried a water slide. It did not work. Like, the stuff kept slipping off of it. There's nothing for it to grab a hold of. So what I'll probably do with this is when I finish it, I will, I might glitter the whole thing. Like, this is a lot in the back here to do. So I may block this off and make like a dam, and then do like some kind of mica swirl or something in there, making sure that it doesn't leach out underneath. When you have a smaller area like this, then that's pretty easy to cover up. So what I'll end up doing is like a name in here or something like that. I'm honestly not positive what I want to do with it yet. And again, you know, you don't have to color in underneath. You don't have to. There's benefits to coloring in and taking the time. There's a couple benefits of it. And again, I'm rehashing what I said. You can print out a copy on just regular printer paper and color it in with like color pencils or something like that, or crayons, markers, whatever. Gives you a color idea of how you want to lay down your color. You do not have to by any means, but I find it to be helpful for more difficult projects. Like when I go to do this, I will definitely color in. I will take and I will photocopy this and then I will just color it and give myself an idea of like what I want to do. But it also covers up little mistakes. So when we base coat something and we're doing like blue underneath blue, say for example, you're not getting like 100% coverage on your glitter. It's not going to matter because you really aren't going to see it. If actually there's a little spot, can you see right there? It did not cover it 100%. But you know what? It's okay. That's okay, because when I come back in with my black afterwards and I draw my line, you know, with the paintbrush, or I use a little squeeze bottle to put that bead down so that I can get my little black lines, because I will cover all the black lines with glitter, black glitter. It's going to make it just more defined for me, and you're not even going to see that spot. You know, Lisa, I am super curious now about the water slide thing. I think it will slip off. I think it's going to be a problem because water slides tend to make things slip off of them. So you're Mod Podging on top of your water slide, and then you're adding glitter to the top of your water slide. I don't think it'll hold. I really don't. But you know what? I want to say go for it. Go for it. Try it. See what happens. And, you know, let me know, because I'm super curious. I might try it myself. So, I am going to continue to work on this. And I will post a finished picture of it, because I don't want to bore everybody. But you're getting the general idea of what's going on here and how this is done. You can use any images. Now, as I was saying to people before, okay, so sometimes when you're weeding, if you're gonna do it with vinyl, you don't get a nice line that flows. Like, it'll kind of chop off part of the line. You just come back in with the Sharpie and you finish off your line so that you can see where your definition is. That's the one downside to doing it with the vinyl. Sometimes the lines don't work. Sometimes the lines work perfectly. Actually, here's another one. So, you see this dark line right here? Well, there's actually little, like, cut dots. I don't know, I hope you can see. There's little cut dots there. Now, if I tried to pull that out of there, you're not going to see that. Like, there's no way that you're going to see that. So when I do this, what I'll end up doing is I will leave that the way that it is. And then I will come back in and I'll put like little rhinestones or something across it. And that's how that one will work. So, anyhow, guys, stained glass tumbler. I will post a finished picture of it. Thank you all for joining me. I hope that this was good for you guys and that you learned something. I will be coming back. I'm doing every Saturday, probably 3 o'clock start, same time, Eastern. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start some cool Christmassy stuff. I have a Nutcracker cup coming up. I have an elf cup. I'm going to do a holiday tray. We're all going to, you know, this is all done so that you guys can learn how to do this stuff. And it's all going to be done with tumbler epoxy. So I hope that this helps you guys. If you have any questions, problems, concerns, you know, you missed something, you don't understand it, PM me or post up on the group. You know, tag me if you need to, so that I can answer any questions in regards to this. If you want to see something, if there's, because I like to teach and I know how to do a billion different things. If there's something that you want to see, Katie too. Katie does tons, like amazing stuff. Beth, same thing. Beth's super busy. But you know, she puts up video stuff too. If you have not had the chance, if you're new to the tumbler epoxy group, please guys, take a minute. The top of the page, when you come into the group and it says tumbler epoxy up at the top, on the left hand side there is a tab that says announcements. Every single video that Beth has made about how to put your tumbler epoxy on, how to mix it, how to put it over chunky, how to do molds, every single question that you could possibly think that you might have, she's probably already answered. And take a minute, because she's going to give you really cool techniques and ways to look at that. It's just going to help to enhance your experience with the great product that it is, so that you have the best results ever and your artwork is amazing. So thank you guys. Thank you guys. Like I said, this is the finished one that we did. Super cool. Took a long time. Really long time to do. Because this was my first. I did this. I've done a couple since. But I learned a lot of things doing it. And you can do this. This is not hard. It's not hard to do. Please don't be intimidated by it. Not hard at all. Like you can totally do these. And you're going to be awesome at it. So, questions, let me know. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Happy crafting, guys. Bye.